The world wants the perspective of children are a burden. Children are going to keep you from living your life to the fullest. And it's like, they're additions, they're multipliers. I feel like there's such a pressure on women that we have to do it all at once. We don't. Yeah. You can do it all though, just not all at once. What's tough sometimes is you're like, I can't wait to get back to the identity I had and all the things I did pre-motherhood. You've been reborn at this point. Your identity is new. Now mother is like a huge part of who you are. Any blessing is paired with responsibility, right? And I think they pray so hard for the blessing, and then the blessing comes and they curse the responsibility side of it.
If you can do everything by yourself, why would you need God? Did you feel that like a change in identity or like, oh my gosh, who's my old self? Who is this mom self? Because I know a lot of women feel like I'll never get back to my old me.
I think the word just gets us in trouble a lot, especially in motherhood. No one's more opinionated than moms. It's kind of intense.
Okay, Tori Masters, welcome to Happy and Healthy. I am so excited to have you on because I feel like I've known you for so long. Because you used to live in California, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I lived in California. And
okay. Oh, gosh, just hit the mic.
Yeah.
First time we ever met was Riley's birthday party. Like at that dinner. That was our only passing, I think, in LA, though.
I can't believe that.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like I've known about you, obviously, for a really long time. We haven't spent a significant amount of time together, but I've always just loved your ministry, your podcast, just like what you and Chad do. And you're a mom of two, and you...
A third on the way.
Yeah.
It feels crazy saying that because as we're recording this, we haven't even taken our announcement photos yet. We've only told like family and friends. And so it feels funny to like be in a setting where you're like, oh my gosh, people are going to know.
It's wild. So fun.
We're doing 3 under 3.
That's amazing. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Let's be real, guys. Taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your body. But I know, guys, that sometimes therapy can feel out of reach because it gets so pricey. Traditional in-person therapy can run anywhere from $100 to $250 a session. So yes, it adds up. But that is why I'm so glad I found BetterHelp. It's online therapy that's not only way more convenient, but also way more affordable. With BetterHelp, you can save up to 50% per session, and you pay a flat weekly fee. So no surprises, just support you can count on. Whether you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, or just need a safe space to process life's highs and lows, therapy can really make a difference. It's so empowering to learn how to set healthy boundaries, develop strong coping tools, and prioritize your mental well-being. And here's what I love the most. BetterHelp has over 30,000 licensed therapists, so you can find someone you connect with. No awkward office visits, no waiting rooms, just real help from the comfort of your home. Your mental health is worth it, and now it's within reach. Visit BetterHelp.com/happyhealthy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/happyhealthy. Take that first step towards being your best self. You're a mom of two. You have a third on the way.
Yeah.
I've watched you balance working as a woman, marriage, social media, travel, having a successful podcast, speaking. Like, I was like, how does she do this as a mother of two?
And God's grace and help.
Yeah, but I'm really genuinely like wondering, like, how do you do this all? What are some things that help you in this process? Obviously, you have an amazing husband, but like just mentally, spiritually wise for women that are about to become a mom, because I think I'm seeing my followers, they're all going through this process with me where
they're growing up with you.
Which is so fun. I mean,
love it.
You would not believe the amount of DMs I'm getting of girls. They're like, oh my gosh, I just found out I'm pregnant too.
Yes,
the sweetest thing. And so they're looking at me like, how do I do this? And I'm like, I'm
still
looking
trying to figure it out.
Other people like, how do I do this? So like, how do you balance this all?
Yeah. Well, something that's been encouraging me lately is I feel like there's such a pressure on women that we have to do it all at once. And we don't.
Yeah.
You can do it all though. Like, I think that's the beautiful picture is like, you can do it all, just not all at once. And so what is God calling you to be obedient in this season? And having those conversations with yourself and with God, even on like a daily, weekly basis. And I think it's hard. Like, what's your Enneagram type? Like, are you?
I'm a 3-2.
Okay, same.
Yeah.
And so I think for 3s, like the achiever side of us is like, no, like you don't understand. I can still do it all. Like I can still manage it. Like I'm looking at my planner and I I have fit this time together correctly, right? When I became a mom, I had no idea like the mental and emotional load that I would also carry. And so I did feel like in the beginning I got a little overwhelmed because I didn't take anything off my plate at all. Like I didn't take a postpartum leave. Like I didn't do it.
Really?
No, I was still working 2 days after. Like I'm pretty sure I recorded a podcast 2 days later.
Dang.
With the newborn, like 100%.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure I had a brand deal like 1 week postpartum. You know what I mean? Like it was silly. Like I definitely do not encourage that.
Yeah.
Please take a little bit of a
I
leave.
will be taking a little bit of a break.
You should take a break for sure. So I'll tell you where I went wrong so you can learn from my mistakes. But finding balance and accepting help. I think in the very beginning too, a lot of times when people want to come over and help you, they want to just hold baby, which is so sweet. And a lot of times I'm like, yes, like I want you to hold baby too. Like I want you to experience this. Asking for the things that you really actually need help with though, like, hey, if you come over, can you like help with the dishes or like do a load of laundry? Like everything has blowout stains on it and milk is everywhere. Like, like the practical things that like people can help you with is so important. Like in that main first couple weeks of postpartum when you're literally just trying to bond with your baby, like baby doesn't need someone else. Baby needs mama, you know? And so mama needs help. And that's something I've learned in both postpartum experiences is like, hey, I got baby actually. Like, I need you to remind me to take care of me because it's so easy for that to fall on the wayside. And then just in terms of balancing it all, it genuinely is a daily walk with Jesus to be like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to prioritize today? And if that means a contact nap and maybe doing the dishes, and that's like all I have capacity for today, then that's great.
Yeah.
You know, and I think lowering that, because I would make these crazy to-do lists thinking that I could get through it all. And then I would be so disappointed with myself at the end of the day thinking I'm not doing enough. And the Lord's like, I didn't call you to that. Like, I just didn't call you to that. Like, that's not what I have for you in this season. And especially in the first couple months, oh my goodness, I saw the funniest reel the other day. And it was just like, who else is out there just telling your doctors that the babies are sleeping in the bassinet, not on your chest? My baby slept on my chest for like the first couple months. They hated the bassinet. They were way too smart. They were like, you are not my mom. And so it was just one of those things where like, I'm so used to having my quiet time in the morning before the family wakes up. And those first couple months postpartum, that just wasn't a thing for me. Like if baby was sleeping, I was sleeping. And I had to learn new ways to meet with Jesus and kind of take this is what I'm used to my quiet time looking like. I have my journal, I have my Bible, I have my worship music on. It looks perfect, it sounds perfect, all the things. And I didn't get that for a minute. And that was really tough for me. And that doesn't mean that you can't make it happen, right? Like maybe you ask Caleb to take the morning shift with baby so that you can have that. But sometimes when people take shifts with baby, you're just like, I should need to sleep.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's literally what God's inviting you into is the rest. And I think for me, I wanted to achieve that quiet time with Jesus. Like, oh, I checked off that box today. When the Lord's like, hey, I actually like think that you should need to like rest in my presence. Like literally in the bed, just talk to me and rest. And that was tough. But then it starts coming together and then they start growing up a little bit more and they don't need you as much, right? Like they start kind of sitting up and playing with their toys and all the things and you start getting back in your rhythms and you start finding what your identity looks like inside of motherhood. Because I think what's tough sometimes is you're like, well, I can't wait to get back to the identity I had and all the things I did pre-motherhood. And it's like, well, you've been reborn at this point. Like, your identity is new. Now mother is like a huge part of who you are.
Wow.
So how can I invite my children into this and find who God is calling me to be in this season that looks different than before?
So good.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay that it looks different. It should look different.
Right.
You're different. Right? I love like that realization that like your baby is born, especially with your first, but you are also reborn with your baby.
Yeah.
And you're learning how to do it together. right? Like
Right.
your baby's never existed in this world before, right?
That's so crazy. It's a wild thought.
So wild.
Yeah.
Like literally they have not taken a breath outside of your womb yet. And so they're just exploring this whole new world and all they know is you.
Yeah.
And you've never been a mom before either, right? And so you're trying to figure it out and baby's trying to figure it out and you're doing it together. And it's a really fun journey. And I would encourage you not to follow like the super relatable mom accounts
Okay.
because they're really funny. But at the same time, I think they can give you a negative connotation to feeling like your baby is a burden and you're never going to get back to who you used to be. And so I think being really, really careful and really discerning on who you follow and why you follow them. I love to follow accounts that honor motherhood, and it's like the right perspective because you can either curse night wakings or you can bless them.
Yeah.
There's two ways to look at the hardships of motherhood. And something that's also, sorry, I'm totally rambling.
No,
Cut me
good.
off whenever.
I'm like, I have so many questions I want to ask you because this is so good.
Okay. But I think with motherhood, and this is really any blessing in any season, but any blessing is paired with responsibility, right? And I think a lot of times people are only like focused. They pray so hard for the blessing, and then the blessing comes and they curse the responsibility side of it. And they're like, I want this home, this beautiful house, my dream house. But then they curse the responsibility of stewarding that home. And then it becomes a burden, right? Or it's like, I want to be a mom. But now I curse the fact that I can't do what I want to do. And I have to wake up in the night and I have bags under my eyes, right? But there's like this blessing that's staring you in the face, right? And it's like, if I can learn to bless the responsibility side of it, and just look at it as like, this responsibility is what God has given me to steward the gift he's given me. And part of that stewardship is the joy of my obedience. Like looking at it as like, okay, Lord, I'm going to obey you with joy when I do this. And I'm not going to curse the responsibility that came with the blessing that I prayed for.
That's so good. There's so much meat in there. And I do feel like, God wired us to work.
Yes.
And so I think our work looks different. Like our work looks different than man. Our work looks different than our friends.
Yeah.
But like part of being a mom, that is work. That's toil. That's
absolutely work.
Lack of sleep. I'm sure. Yeah. You're like, yes, I can testify.
Yes.
But like God wired us to do that. I think if we always do what we want to do when we want to do, we're always on vacation. Everything's always fun. You always get to follow your desires. Like, I don't think God wired us for that. I think we're wired to have sometimes long nights and crying and figuring this out and a little bit of stress. Like, I think that's also part of life that kind of makes it exciting sometimes.
It pulls us closer to Jesus.
Yeah, we have to be more dependent on him because if you can do everything by yourself, why would you need God?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned identity, and I was going to ask you about that actually because I think for me, like I'm having a baby at 31 years old. So I've only known single Janine and then married Janine where I can do whatever I want to do. Any vacation I want to go on, I can do this. Yeah. And now I'm shifting into, okay, my life's drastically about to change.
Yeah.
Did you feel that not lack of identity, but like a change in identity or like, oh my gosh, who's my old self? Who is this mom self? Because I know a lot of women feel like what you're saying, I'll never get back to my old me.
Yeah. Yeah. First off, how are you feeling?
I feel good.
You're good.
I'm scared for sure, but I'm also so excited.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm ready for this respensibility. Yes. I'm at the time in my life where I feel like I'm so ready to steward that. What you were saying.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. It reminds me of what we were just talking about with Riley the other day.
Yeah.
Where she was saying how there's always like blessing on the other side of the fear. Like she was saying this whole analogy of like when you're thinking about a dragon protecting this treasure, right? And it's like all you see is the dragon. All you see is the scary part. But behind that fear is the treasure. And so I think, again, a lot of people feel this fear of, will my body bounce back, right? Will I ever look the same? Will I ever feel the same? Will I ever do the same things? Well, yes, but like it doesn't have to be like, oh, I look the same and I do the same thing. You're different and that's okay. Like, I think that that's what women need to know is like, you're not supposed to go back. Like, I'm literally thinking about Lot's wife right now. Like, so often we're like, but God, like, this is how it was. And he's like, but this is not what I have in your future. Like, stop looking back.
Yep.
And she turned to ashes, right? Like, or sand of salt or pillar of salt or
something
like that. We don't want to be Lot's wife, okay? We don't want to look back and cling. We want to look to the future with hope and excitedness and expectancy to be like, okay, God, I can't wait to figure out what you're calling me into and who you're calling me to become. Because I think so often we're so focused on the things that we want to achieve, and we're not as focused on who we're becoming. And I think the greatest gift we can give our children, our spouses, our community is becoming the women that God is are calling us to become. And if we're focused on, God, who do you want me to become? A lot of things just start falling into place versus, well, I want to achieve this, and this, because then we find our identity in those achievements. And I know that because I did that, right? Like literally, especially like in pageant land, it was like, okay, well, I found my identity in being Miss Florida, or like growing up, I found my identity in being the best dancer or whatever that might be, or like I found my identity in getting good grades. And it's so easy to find your identity in all of these things other than God, right? And it's like, Lord, I want to find my identity in you and who you're calling me to be. And I think the word just gets us in trouble a lot, especially in motherhood. Because you're like, well, I feel like I'm just being a mom right now. And like, that's not enough. Well, it's more than enough, right? Like you showing up for your children in the middle of the night. It's like, oh, something must have went wrong. They woke up again. And it's like, well, from your child's perspective, it's like, wow, my mom is like up with me again and I'm comforted again. Like my mom is the best thing ever.
Don't make me cry, Tori.
Right? Like literally. Well, every time you think about that, it's like, man, like all my baby wants right now is to like be on my chest. And like I'm their world right now, you know? And it's not always going to be like that. Like Chad reminds me so often I'll just like be dancing with the boys and he'll be like, you're going to be dancing at their wedding someday. I'm like, don't you do that to me.
Oh my God.
Don't you do that to me.
Stop.
Like they're never allowed to grow past my hips. They can't get any taller than my 2-year-old right now. And so it just goes by so fast. It goes by so fast. Like I cannot believe that if you would have told me the year that we were trying to get pregnant that I would find out I was pregnant 3 years in a row, I would have literally laughed in your face.
Wow.
And so it's just kind of crazy to think how quickly life can change. And life never goes by as fast as it does when you have a baby, because it's just like you're seeing time. You're seeing time. Like literally month by month, everything changes with them. Schedules change, routines change, what they need changes, what they eat changes. Like everything changes so fast. And when you're single or when you're married, like, yeah, some things in life might change, but like
it feels like a lot of waiting, you know? I guess like you're waiting to get into school, waiting for a boyfriend, waiting to get married. And then when you're married and you have those things, it's like you're just in the routine of like lunch bags and dressing them, shower, bath time, whatever. I'm sure my sister always tells me, she's like, don't blink. And I think there's a song that says don't blink because you blink and then you're like, how are they 5 years old? You know, whatever.
Literally.
Did you go through like a grieving period at all of like pre-mom versus mom now? Because I think a lot of women do. And I mean, that's great if you didn't, but I think a lot of women that maybe struggled with like, I want to be a mom, but I don't want this to be my everything, my entire identity. They kind of grieve the pre-mom self.
I think I've had moments. I think I've had moments when I'm like invited to something and I can't make it. And it's
That's gonna
mainly,
be hard for me.
it's mainly when your selfishness has to die. And I even notice like the moments of frustration that I have as a mom, it's typically when my selfishness is showing. Or when I'm trying to do what I need to do or what I want to do, and something's happening with my children it's not allowing me to do what I want to do. And it's more revealing than anything else. I'm like, ooh, I didn't like what that just showed.
It's like marriage exposes and the kids like double exposed. Probably,
you
right?
got mirrors on all sides.
Oh no.
There was, oh man, especially when I was pregnant with my second, and I was pretty sick, and my oldest was teething really bad, and he had been sleeping through the night and then started waking up again, and I was like sick and didn't feel good, and I like I had never been one to like struggle with frustration or anger. That's never really been my struggle. I typically just go straight to crying. It's just like
Mood.
I'm happy or I'm crying. And I like felt myself get like angry and like I was angry at my baby. And it was like, ooh, I don't like that. Like he's literally in pain and he wants me because he needs comfort because he's in pain. And I'm literally angry at him. And it was so convicting and so revealing. And I just did not like seeing that. And I always go back to the refining process of gold. It's always so encouraging to me. Because when you think about the refining process of gold, they have to blow up rock. So maybe you feel like your life has been like blown up, right?
Yeah.
Well, then they blow up the rock and then they pull it out and then they start smashing it with a hammer, right? And so it's like, okay, well, I was just blown up. Well, now I'm getting like smashed.
Beat down.
And then after it's beat down, then it's put into a fiery furnace. And so then you feel like you're literally like on fire. Like I'm literally in the flame. And the gold maker knows that the gold is ready when he pulls the gold out and he can see his reflection in the gold. And I think about that because all the impurities come up in the fire and they get pushed aside. And there's so many moments of motherhood where you feel like you're seeing those impurities rise to the top.
Wow.
And that was the moment for me where I was like, oh, I didn't even know that was in me. Like, I didn't even know that side was in me. And it showed. And I'm like, oh, Lord, please remove that quickly.
Yeah.
Please remove that quickly. Like, get that out of me. And I think that's the beauty of the way God works, too, is like putting you in places that reveal things inside of you that you didn't even know were there. And it's part of that sanctification process.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful process. Like, praise the Lord for conviction,
Amen.
right? Like, praise the Lord. Because what's the goal? To look more like Christ, right? And so without conviction, like, we don't get that.
You guys know I'm all about living healthier, more intentional life, and that doesn't stop in the kitchen. So let's talk about something most of us do not think twice about, our cookware. Most traditional nonstick pans, they're loaded with forever chemicals like PFAS and Teflon that can leach into your food and to your home. Yikes. One study even found that a single scratch on a nonstick pan can release over 9,000 plastic particles. No, thank you. And that is why I made the switch to Our Place, and I love their 4-piece cookware set. It comes with 2 always pans and 2 perfect pots in both a full and mini size. These 4 pieces seriously replace a whole cluttered cabinet of cookware, and you can steam, saute, bake, fry, all of it with just these 3. Plus, they're made without toxins or harmful coatings, but they still give you that dreamy ultra nonstick performance. Eggs slide right out, cleanup is a breeze, and they look so cute in my kitchen. I have mine in the spice color, and it's a beautiful color. And get this, you save $150 when you buy the full set instead of individual pieces. So if you're ready to ditch the chemicals and upgrade your kitchen, head to FromOurPlace.com and check out the 4-piece cookware set. Your health and your meals will thank you. So stop cooking with toxic cookware and upgrade to Our Place today. Visit FromOurPlace.com/healthy and use code HEALTHY for 10% off site-wide. With a 100-day risk-free trial, free shipping, and returns, you can experience this game-changing cookware with 0 risks. That is such a great analogy, though. I love that. I love it. It's biblical, and I love that that is what God uses.
Yeah.
And I just love that visual. I think that's like a really good, clear, like, okay, the beat down is going to be beautiful gold one day if you allow it to be. If you allow it to be and let the Lord refine you and prune you. And like, just like in John 15, where God's like, I will cut off branches. And that cutting off is so painful. You're like, why would you cut off that relationship or that job or whatever?
Kinda ugly.
That, what I thought I wanted. And God's just like, trust me.
Yeah.
It's going to grow another tree branch somewhere else that's even more beautiful than you've imagined.
The full surrender. The actual surrender.
So painful, but it's so worth it. Joy and surrender is just, it really is. It's good.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, I guess like I feel like I've seen a huge attack on social media of motherhood, of encouraging women, not to be moms or, like what are your viewpoints or just thoughts on just what you're seeing online about motherhood?
Well, I feel like it's the root of it all is the enemy, right? Like the enemy does not want families to
and doesn't
thrive.
want life either.
He doesn't want life.
Yeah.
And so what can he do to attack life? And so we just always like anything that's happening in the physical world, there's always something below it that's spiritual. And so it's like, okay, let's actually like focus on the root of what's spiritual behind it. And of course, if the enemy doesn't want families to thrive, well, what is he going to do? He's going to attack marriages.
Mhm.
He's going to attack motherhood, because if moms stop looking at having children as an honor, a blessing, a heritage from the Lord, then he wins, right? It's like one less child of God, one less child of light, one less child on purpose for the kingdom. And it's like, I feel like the more women who rise up and fight against that narrative and actually embrace the fact that the word says, like there's so often I look at my children and I'm like, you are literally a reward from heaven.
Yeah.
Like, how crazy to look at this little baby and be like, you are my little reward from the Lord. Like,
Yeah.
it's a different lens. It's a different perspective, because the world wants the perspective of children are a burden.
Right.
Children are going to keep you from living your life to the fullest. And it's like, they're additions, they're multipliers. Like, they're not something that's going to subtract from your life. They're going to multiply the joy in your life. And yeah, is that going to come with some hardships and sacrifice? Yes, but everything good does.
Totally.
Like, just like we were talking about before, it's like blessings come with responsibility, and the responsibility to steward the blessing. And so it just makes sense that the enemy doesn't want moms to have children. You're like, duh,
100%.
duh.
Yeah, and I think I actually fed into that narrative before getting pregnant. It took the Lord completely changing my heart, because I fed into, I'm not ready, and all the fear, and my life's going to change. I can't travel.
Yeah.
And I think also, like, depending on who you follow and who you're looking on, like, some women are going to say that. They're going to say, this is so hard and blah, blah, blah. Which, yes, it is hard. Like, I never want to negate anyone's experience or diminish that. But
well, I would say there's hard moments.
Yeah.
Instead of just blanketing motherhood as hard.
Yeah, that's
right.
True.
There's hard moments. Just like we can have a hard 5 minutes and then we have the choice to make it a hard day.
Or even a hard 5 minutes in your marriage. But that doesn't mean your whole marriage
is
stinks,
hard. Right, exactly.
Moments of difficulties.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like we can learn from them and grow from them, or we can stay stuck in them and then like use them and play the victim card of like, oh, this is just so hard.
But I think that's the lie that the enemy is telling a lot of women is just like, that's how it's going to be. Yeah. You won't get your body back, and you won't. But I think when maybe you won't.
Yeah.
But I think when you trust the Lord and you do surrender and you accept, like, this is the journey I'm going to go on with the Lord. And it's okay that it's different. And like, there's a season for everything. Like, I'm okay to say goodbye to my 20s where I did whatever, whenever I wanted. I'm okay to move on to the next season, because I don't want that forever and ever and ever. It's just, I can't be in that cycle the rest of my life.
Well, and something we also say too is, or we encourage people, it's like, don't make decisions based on like who you are right now. Make decisions based on who you want to be and what you want to see when you're 50. And so for me, when I think about who I want to be and who I want to see when I'm 50 years old, it's like, well, I want my children and their children to all be at the table. And I'm like the matriarch of the table. And like, we're the home that everyone wants to be at, and it's community, and it's beautiful, and it's grandchildren. And I'm not going to get that if I don't have children.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get stuck in the like, well, it's my desires and my timing and what I want right now, because that's what the enemy wants you to focus on. And it removes the blessing of vision for the future. Because it's like, well, maybe I won't be able to travel for a season as easily as I did when I'm single, when they're really little. But guess what? 10 years from now, when they're a little bit older, we all get to travel and make memories as a family.
100%.
And it's going to be so much fun. Like, we love surrounding ourselves with families who have kids just a little bit older too, and seeing how they live their lives and what their rhythms look like and everything else. And there's a family we're really close to, and they have a 13, 16, and 17-year-old, and they all just went to Italy and took this huge, massive trip, and they love hanging out together. And it's like, that's what we want, but that's not the narrative that the world paints.
No,
right?
and I think too, like, I can't imagine living for myself just the rest
Yeah.
of my life.
It's empty.
It's empty, it's
Yeah.
lonely, and I mean, that's why, like, first of all, marriage is such a blessing is because, like, it's not just about you anymore.
Yeah.
You have to consider someone else or someone else
Yeah.
also holding up that mirror, and then your
Yeah.
kids also hold up the mirror.
Yeah.
But, like, even Caleb and I were like, "This is fun. We love being married together, but we also can't imagine just only living for just this."
Yeah.
We wanted to bring an addition in, and I'm
Yeah.
so glad you brought up the future self because that's what I did too. Like,
Yeah.
it was a spiritual journey for me, but
Yeah.
also, like, logically,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm getting older. My parents are getting older.
Yeah.
I want to have kids. And I
Yeah.
thought about where do I want to be in 10 years?
Mhm.
And I wanted my kids to know their grandparents before
Yeah.
they,
Yes.
pass. And so
Yes.
it can be definitely a spiritual journey, but
Yeah.
also like thinking
Mhm.
ahead of where do you want to be. And that's kind of what I
Yes.
did. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? When I boil it down, like I'm ready. And
Yeah.
they say you'll never be ready fully. And I don't know if
Yeah.
you felt fully ready. I didn't necessarily, but I was like, I am going in feet first. I
Yeah.
trust the Lord. I
Yeah.
know God has got me in this.
Mhm.
And I honestly thought it would take me a whole lot longer to get pregnant. And I
Yeah.
did. I just was first try.
Love
So I was like, we're doing this.
What a blessing.
And I'm so, so grateful for that. But it's
Yeah.
like, okay, God, I know you've got us. And it's
Mhm.
scary. And I might feel
Yeah.
all sorts of things, but feelings
Mhm.
also are a liar. And
Yeah.
fear is a liar. And I'm
Yeah.
going to choose to trust God's word and who he says I am and what he
Mhm.
has for me over what the world is saying and what social media is saying.
Amen. And obviously our journey was a little different. So I don't think I felt okay, opposite. I felt ready for a really long time.
Okay.
I felt ready before Chad felt ready, which was hard. And then he finally felt ready, and then I thought we'd get pregnant like the first time. And then a year goes by and we're still not pregnant. And every month it just got harder and harder and harder. And for those of y'all out there in the waiting season, just want to give you a glimmer of hope too. We never did any like fertility treatments or anything like that. It literally was a full surrender. So what happened, what had happened is one day I was about to start my period. And that day before your period when you're trying can be full of anxiousness because for me at least, I didn't want to go through the emotion I knew I was going to have to face the next day. I never really took pregnancy tests early. It was always just like, I want to see if I get my period first. And so I kind of felt all the symptoms. I kind of knew my period was going to come the next day. And I would just go really like internal. And I thought I was processing this really well. Apparently I wasn't. And Chad comes and he literally was like, hey, babe, like, I'm not saying you're doing this, but I just want to make sure that you're not making motherhood an idol in your life. And I was like, Holy Spirit, hold my tongue.
Yeah.
You know?
Please don't let me slap this man.
I'm like, oh, hold my tongue, Lord. And he literally went and he got my Bible, my journal, and my devotional. And in the house we built a prayer room. And he literally just like, when I tell you I was silent this entire time, he just grabbed my hand. He said, I think you need some time with Jesus. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. I'm literally just like being silent, right? And he like walks me into the prayer room and he's like, you're good? And I'm like, And he like shuts the door. And so I like have this moment I start journaling and I was like, Lord, at this point, I just need you to know I'm kind of like angry. Like at this point, I'm really confused. I'm pretty frustrated. I don't really know why this isn't happening. And I also don't know how to pray anymore. I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to like stand and believe that next month is going to be our month and we're going to get pregnant and I'm going to speak in faith, or I'm just supposed to be content in the waiting. And it just feels like such a juggling act because I felt like the more I got excited about something, the more I was disappointed when it didn't happen. And it was just such an emotional roller coaster. And it was just kind of wild because I got this vision. Well, yeah, so I'd like journaled the whole thing, like I no longer know how to pray. And then I was reading this devotional by Paul David Tripp. We love it, New Morning Mercies. And he was talking about when you're anxious for tomorrow. I was like, that tracks. And then he's like, for further study, go to Romans 8, I think 26 through 28, where it talks about when you no longer know how to pray, the Holy Spirit interprets the groans of your heart and pleads with the Father according to his will. And I just started crying because that was literally what I had journaled. Like, I don't know how to pray anymore. And I felt the Holy Spirit say, don't worry, I'm praying for you.
Wow.
And I like had this vision of me in the throne room of God. I could just see his feet like on the throne. And I felt Jesus's hand like on my shoulder, like beside me. And I felt like the Holy Spirit was literally taking my tears and like delivering them to the Father and praying on my behalf. And I was like, okay, they got me. Like they've got me. And then funny enough, went and got in the shower and just kind of cried it out. And Chad came in and we were just talking in the shower as married couples do.
Yep.
And I was like, I think we need to stop trying for a little bit. And I think he took that as like, does that mean like stop having sex? I'm like,
yeah, you're like, whoa.
No,
He's like, please no.
no. But just stop like seeing if I'm ovulating and all the things.
Yeah.
Stop like the emotional side of trying. Like,
Yeah.
if we want to have sex because we want to have sex because we love each other, great. But like not because we're trying
for
to get
purpose
pregnant.
type of thing. Yeah.
And I literally got pregnant 2 weeks later. And
That's crazy.
it was when we finally surrendered. Like finally surrendered. And funny enough, I feel like there was kind of the same thing with this baby, where I don't think I was necessarily ready had it been a month earlier.
Wow.
We still weren't sleeping and we were in a house that we weren't in love with that we're now renovating. And like there was mold. It just felt like there was like this, it was just a lot, right?
Yeah.
And then we like move into this apartment while we're renovating the house and we only brought like what we needed and it just felt simple and light and I felt like my joy came back and literally I just felt like, okay, God, I don't think that I'm like necessarily ready, but I'm totally surrendered to whatever you want for our family. And we got pregnant again.
Wow.
And I feel like it's every time we're like, okay, God, I just surrendered to whatever you want for our family. Then he's like, great. Perfect. That's what I was asking for.
That's so usually just how God works. When you finally, it's like an image that I get is like, you know, when there's a rope and you're holding onto the rope and that rope is burning your hands. And the second you like let go is when like things just like work out. It's like the more you try to control, the more burned you get.
Yeah.
And then when you open your hands and you're just like, God, my hands are open to now do whatever you want to do. Is now when God can place what he really wants for you in your hands. And it's like, okay, you're ready now to steward that.
Yeah.
And I think that is just going to be so encouraging for so many women because it's not something that I've dealt with. I know many women that have, and Lord willing, I don't have to deal with that, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what that will be like for second, third baby. But I think so many women are going to just be encouraged to hear that because, you know, there's so many women that DM me. I'm sure they DM you. I've been trying for a year. I've been trying for 2 years. And why does this happen? And I'm just like, I don't know sometimes, but I think that story is just going to encourage so many people.
Well, and I also had to get to a place, like there was multiple women who I admire a lot, one being Dawn Sherry Wilkerson. And I just remember her story bringing me so much hope. And, you know, now she stands with 4 children and they waited for, I think it was 7 or 8 years.
Time,
and I literally had to get to the place where I was like, okay, Lord, like if we have to be the couple that waits for years and years and years, but you get the glory, that's fine.
Yeah.
And it was a really hard place for me to get to. But I think when you recognize like the heavenly perspective of it, and it's like, okay, Lord, no matter what, I want you to get the glory. And I remember when we were trying, we'd brought so many people into the story because we shared about it, like as we were trying. And when we finally got pregnant, it felt like such a group testimony because so many people were praying.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't just feel like a win for our family. It feels like a win for so many people around the world. And there were so many prophetic moments. And just on our online community, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you made us wait.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that you made us wait. And I do think a lot of times for those that are out there waiting, the wait just increases the gratitude too.
Oh, yeah.
When you wait for something for a long time and it's like you finally have it and you're like, this is what I waited for.
And when you can give God the glory, when you can say, this had nothing to do with me. All I had to do was surrender, believe, pray, have faith. That's when God gets the glory.
Oh, and the Lord was like, I don't want you using anything because there's all these little tips and tricks.
Totally.
You know, like, oh, use this ovulation strip or do this whatever, right? There's a lot of things out there. And I felt like the Lord was like, I need you to use none of it because none of it will take credit for what I'm going to do.
Ooh.
And I think it also has to do with like what we do for work.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, people will ask like, well, what changed? Right? Like, what did you try? What did you do? And I think had it happened any other month than the month that was after the surrender, I would have been like, oh, these are the ovulation strips I used. I'll link them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And God's like,
Yeah.
no, the only thing that you'll be able to point to is me.
Let's talk about health again, my friends. I'm talking about mind, body, and spirit. One of the most empowering things I've done recently is use Function, a platform that gives you access to over 100 advanced lab tests to really understand what's going on inside my body as well as yours. Most traditional checkups only scratch the surface, but Function offers tests that go much deeper. I accessed tests through Functions that looked at things like cortisol and DHEAS, which helped me understand how my body responds to stress. I also got insights into vitamin D and insulin levels, which showed me how my nutrition might be affecting my mood and energy. That really surprised me, and now making simple shifts every day that are making a difference. What I love about Function isn't about guessing, it's about knowing whether you're 25 or 55, male or female. Early in your wellness journey or years in, we all deserve to know what is going on inside, because when you know better, you can live longer, stronger, and with real vitality. It's just $40.99 a year, and that includes access to all 100 plus tests through labs across the country. Function currently has a wait list, but they are offering my audience the chance to skip it. Head to functionhealth.com/happy or enter code HAPPY when signing up to skip the wait list. I feel like also in this journey, there's so much comparison. And I mean, I've even had women DM me saying I had to mute you and unfollow you because I didn't get pregnant my first try. This has been so hard for me. And I even told people, like, I give you permission. If you need to mute me for a little bit, I understand. And I think that's what's so cool is like, your story now says, hey, like, this is not just a one-size-fits-all formulaic thing. Like, this is only me going to the Lord, which is what everybody has to do. Like, the life would be so boring if everyone just snapped their fingers, got whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted, done, got it. Like, it's the same timeline as Tori. God writes us all these unique stories. But the beauty is that it gets to give God glory. And I love that God told you that because then it encourages other women too, like, hey, this is a challenge in your faith. And it means like you've got to go back to God.
Right.
I can't be your savior. I can't give you the formula. It has to come from the Lord.
And sometimes the Lord will lead you and guide you in peace to things that might help, right? Like praise the Lord for so many children who the medical field has been able to help, and hormone doctors that help women like regulate their hormones, or maybe it was like something that, was dysfunctional in their own body, right? Like, or maybe they needed to stop something to like help their fertility or whatever that might be. But it always needs to start with Jesus, not end with Jesus, right? I feel like so often we go to God as like our last resort because nothing else is working, versus going to him first and being like, Lord, what do you want me to do? Like, can you lead me in this direction? And so,
That's so true. I love that. And I think just with like comparison in general, do you feel like that was anything you ever struggled with? Like looking at how other moms did things versus you? Because as you know, on the internet, people look gray. And, there's a lot of mom shame, or people look like, oh, I wish I had 4 kids and I can travel and dress as nice as she does and be as skinny. Like, what do you feel like on that?
What I've realized is like, no one's more opinionated than moms. It's kind of intense.
I'm scared about that one.
Number one, I don't love sharing it all because that might not be the way God's calling you to mother your children. And I've seen other women mother their children in different ways than me, or I've seen moms say like, you shouldn't do it this way because of X, Y, and Z. And it's like the way that I'm doing it and feel called to do it. And it's just like, it's so interesting, all of it. And I feel like there's definitely a lot of moms out there that are like, it's my way and my way is the right way. And the reason I don't share is because I feel like there's no one size fits all to how to mother your children. You've been gifted your children because God said, I've chosen you to steward these children, and the Holy Spirit will give you guidance every single day on how to steward your children. And I feel like I got very stuck with my first going to Google before God. And especially in the night, right? Like in the middle of the night, I'm like, oh, he's hiccuping, or oh, he's not doing this or doing that or whatever. And I'm like on Google versus praying. And I'm like, Lord, you just created this child. You created me to literally birth this child and steward this child. Why am I not coming to you and actually trusting that you will speak to me and guide me and lead me in your peace to give my child what my child needs in this moment? And I think that we're just in that generation that's so used to the instant gratification of like, oh, well, let me just Google it real quick, thinking that Google knows better than God. And yeah, I always encourage like especially new moms because there's so many questions. And man, I'm so grateful for mom chats. Like, and you have so many friends who are pregnant too, and y'all are going to be going through it at the same time. It's
I'm
the
like,
best.
help.
No, it's the best because we would have like late night chats. Like we literally be like, this is our group chat for the middle of the night wakings. Like, and we text and we encourage and we send verses to cling on to. There's like certain things we'll be praying like specifically for that night. And it just rewires your brain in a different way than focusing on the problems or focusing on the hardship to focusing on the blessing of it all. And even with social media, it's like, well, everyone says like social media is so toxic. Well, the thing is these platforms are built to give you more of what you watch. So maybe we should look internally and be like, why am I watching what I'm watching? Why am I following who I'm following? Because I can decide who I follow. I can decide what videos I click on. I can decide what mom accounts I subscribe to, etc. This place doesn't actually have to be toxic.
Yeah.
It can actually be really beautiful if we decide and have the discipline to actually like cultivate like following accounts that are going to encourage you unto Christ versus, and that's kind of why I said earlier, like it's so easy to go down the relatable mom rabbit hole because it is funny and it is relatable and you will be like, oh yeah, like that totally happens throughout the day. Like, but it's not sanctifying. And it's tough. Like it's something that I'm currently trying to make sure that I'm not doing because I want my thoughts wired towards my children are a blessing. My night wakings can be a blessing. Like all of these things can be a blessing if I have eyes to see and I hone in on these moments. Like literally, I just posted this the other day, which I know this is coming out way later, but my smallest, he was a really bad sleeper for the first like 6-7 months. Like really bad.
No.
It was really brutal. And then he finally started sleeping like all the way through the night, like 11, 12 hours. Like it was wild. Well, then recently he started breaking through some teeth. So he started waking up a couple times throughout the night. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? I thought we were past this.
Yeah.
And I went into his room at like 3 a.m. to comfort him. And I just felt his little chest just so relieved that I was in the room with him and all the crying ceased and he just like fell back asleep like on my chest. And I just started praying over him and there was nothing in that moment where I felt like this is robbing me of sleep.
Wow.
And I think so often during those moments we can think about what's being taken from us versus what's being given to us. And I was never more aware of the time I was being given. Like, because I would have just slept and then woke up a couple hours later. But I got to embrace him without like an ounce of hurry. You know, like there was nothing else calling for my attention, which during the day, most of the time there is.
Right.
And it was just like, oh, I'm like cherishing this time with him right now. He's never going to be this little again. And he's never going to need me this much again. Like, I love this moment with him. And then I literally got back in bed and I was kind of awake because like the crying, the jolt, like it just like woke me up. And I like got back in bed and I like snuggled up to my husband who was working later. So I like didn't get to cuddle him like before we went to sleep. And I just like cuddled up to him and started praying over him. And it was like so much joy. At 3:30 in the morning, I was so happy I was awake. It was like the weirdest revelation where I was genuinely so full of joy in a moment where I feel like had I let the enemy win, I would have just been frustrated that I wasn't sleeping. But instead, like, I mean, it filled me with joy for the next couple days. I like literally just kept thinking of that moment and how grateful I was for it. And so, yeah, it's all about perspective.
That's such a good reminder. Like, that's encouraging me so that I can prepare mentally for that because, I think when I'm preparing my mind already for how hard it's going to be. And it will be possibly, but I love that you're already encouraging me and the listeners of like, it doesn't have to be like perspective shift because that is majority of what you're seeing online, or just the moms that say, just you wait, or, oh, what's your son doing? Or, oh, are you sleeping? Like they want to bond over how hard it is. And I totally get that everybody wants to feel seen, or like, oh, you get me. Thank you. Gosh, I'm not alone in this. But I think it's really hard when someone's like, oh, you're enjoying your 3 a.m. stuff. How are you doing that? And I think that's beautiful to show that, like, no, you can enjoy it. And maybe not always. But you can,
And my friend Nava talks about this a lot. She is just a prayer warrior, and she's encouraged me so much in terms of like the night wakings. But it's like, I remember, this is a throwback. This is going to sound like a interesting fact, but I used to do strip club ministry where we literally like would go into the strip clubs and minister to the girls there. And we'd go back in the dressing room and bring them, different things and just talk to them. And I would drive home, and it was always so dark, right? Because you're just so aware of the darkness. And at the time, I like lived by myself too, and the things that you see and everything else. And there was about 2 weeks there that every night the Lord was waking me up around 3 a.m. Like I'd get home pretty late, I'd go to bed, and I'd wake up like literally an hour later, and I would just think about all the girls who were leaving the club. And I felt the Lord calling me in to cover them in prayer. And so I'd go to my bathroom, and I'd literally like put my Bible on the toilet. I'd sit on the floor, and I would just start praying over them. And I remember, gosh, I can't remember the verse. This was a long time ago, but it was in 1st or 2nd Kings. And it's just talking about how a lot of the time, like in times of war, they will invade a city at night because all of their defenses are down. And I thought about these women and their defenses being down in like the midnight hour and in the darkness, and how we as mothers have a call in the wee hours where no one else knows that you're awake but the enemy and the Lord. And it's like, I can rise up and start covering my family. And there is so much that I could go down a rabbit hole here. But there's so much in the spiritual realm that we as mothers are the gatekeepers for our homes. And I mean, I'm like literally in my head right now, like, how deep do I want to go here? I'm like, how far down this rabbit hole do I want to go? But we're gatekeepers for our homes. And so if we look at these night wakings and different things as a call to pray over our households, pray over our children, pray over our husbands, like it's literally, we're going to battle for them in the middle of the night when no one else knows. There's no applause. There's no audience. It is literally for an audience of one. But the impact spiritually, the protection over your home, like things actually change in the spiritual realm when you're praying over your household. And so instead of us just scrolling the night wakings away, which sometimes you have to do just to stay awake.
I bet.
Like sometimes I do just like need a little light to be like, okay, I'm awake. He's feeding. Great. But when I have answered the call, I've done it one way, I've done it the other way. When I answer the call to pray, I never regret that. When I don't, I regret it sometimes.
So good. And it just reminds me of my mom and like even Caleb's grandma, how like the woman is the one, and not saying the guy isn't, but like I've seen the prayers of my mom bless generations. I've seen the prayers of Caleb's grandma bless generations, where like there's a Bible verse about that, I think, where it's something about like thousands of generations of like the power of prayer. And like that just reminds me, like, I'm not just doing this for me. Like, I'm doing this for my children's 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 children.
Generational.
It's generational. It's so much bigger than yourself. And it just reminds you, like, oh, this isn't just like a tiny little prayer. Like, this is literally like putting on your helmet, your sword, your gear. And the enemy, like, he hates that. He absolutely would love more than anything than you just to probably just go to TikTok, which nothing wrong with that. But, you know, I love that you chose and you're encouraging that.
You always have a choice.
Yeah, you do. And I'm that's encouragement for me to be like, okay, do that. Pick prayer. Pick prayer over TikTok.
And there's other apps too, right? Like even if you like need to get on your phone just to like stay awake, like you can get on different Bible encouraging devotional apps, right?
I just know my flesh is weak.
It is.
And it's going to want TikTok.
100%, right? I'm actually not even on TikTok.
Yeah,
but,
probably good.
It's so funny. I'm like, TikTok's, I'm sure, great. I just literally never got on it.
Trust me. Thank you so much for coming on. You guys definitely check out all her stuff linked down below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know I did. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much, Tori.
Thank you.
Bye.